Today in this video, we're going to go through 4 power techniques that you can use to learn anything faster. The world is changing a lot, as you can see. I don't know how old you are when you're watching this video, but 10 years ago, the world wasn't this complex. There wasn't this much crazy stuff going on. Things weren't changing so radically fast, right? AI wasn't around. We didn't know about any of these things, and everything is changing constantly in the world today. One of the nice things about this technique is you can use it to go say, I don't know anything about AI or robotics or the economy or climate or some issue that you're interested in. Use this technique to strategically teach yourself so you're up to speed and you can lean into the changes in life, because it's very difficult to try and catch up if you've let it go for a long time. This technique allows you to say, this appears to be important. There's lots of stuff about this. I need to learn about it. These 4 techniques are the ones that I've put together from over 30 years of studying how to learn, right? I love learning. I got a bunch of books. I read a lot, but that's not learning. It's just reading. It's much, much more than just reading the content once or even attending a class or watching a podcast. So I'm going to show you a bunch of techniques, 4 powerhouse techniques that'll change the way you think about learning, change the way you learn, and help you improve your learning so you can become a learning superstar. 4 techniques are this: the dot focus method. So it's a physiological method. The second is the process of how you think about learning and how you go about going through the learning so you actually get it and you understand it and it sits in you. The third is teaching it to someone. And the fourth is locking it in with spaced repetition over time. The number 1 technique is the dot focus method. This is a technique that was used by fighter pilots, I think during World War II, to help them focus intensely, because when you're in a dogfight and someone's shooting at you in an airplane at 20,000 feet, you really need to focus. And what they found out was that if they used this dot focus technique, it radically increased their focus and concentration and memory. So here's how it goes. You can take a dot. It can be the size of a penny or a dime or some small dot the size of an eraser head, something bright red if you have it, or you can just put it on a piece of paper with red ink and then put it on the wall in front of you, right? Now you sit and you look at that dot and you stare at that dot for 2 minutes and just relax and put every ounce of focus and concentration you have on that dot for 2 minutes. If you can get to a minute at first, that's fine, or just 30 seconds. If you have to blink or whatever, then go back and look at it again. Try not to blink. Just with all your concentration, look at that dot and just have your entire focus on that dot. Nothing else. Nothing in the past, nothing tomorrow, not lunch, not breakfast, the dot. If you do that, what happens is it settles the brain down very quickly and focuses your whole brain on one thing. That makes you prepared and ready for action, just like the fighter pilots had to be prepared and ready for action. Extra tip here. There are things you can do with your body. You've probably seen one of our other videos that show about box breathing. I'm going to have a link down below to a box breathing video that we have. Take a look at that. That also helps. That calms the nervous system as well. And the last piece on the dot focus is that when you're focusing, you can also squeeze your hand. They found that squeezing your left hand, because of the left-right axis in the brain, you squeeze your left hand and hold that very tight for 20 seconds at a time while you're focusing at the dot, that's going to increase your focus, concentration, and agency. And agency just means your ability to go and do something hard if you want to. So our second technique is really a process. It's a series of little steps that you can take that increase your memory, your attention, your focus, and your ability long-term to make sense of the material, because that's what this is all about. You can remember 1776, right? So that's 1776. Wow, what was that? Well, that was the American Revolution, but it doesn't have any context to it. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's context and understanding around the thing that you're trying to learn, because context, the more context you have, the more understanding you're going to retain in your brain long-term. You want to know, why am I learning this? If this is important to you to learn, important for you to know, whether it's a job or a test or something that's really valuable to you about your health or some other thing, if something is important to you, you want to know, why do I need this information, right? If it's just you have to need that information once for a quick test that you're having tomorrow, that's okay. You can put that into short-term memory and you don't need to do this whole process. But if you really want to learn and understand and retain information and have it with you for a job or some professional thing, or just because it's important to you, like how many guys can't remember, how many married men can't remember their wedding day years later? I'm like, wow, that's kind of easy. You should definitely learn that. Anyway, so you want to go through this process. Here's what it is. Start with intention. Why do I want it? Why it's important to me? What's it going to mean for me when I do learn it and do remember it and have that as a skill and a capacity in my brain, right? What's it mean for me? So once you know that, that puts everything into the starter context. The second thing is, if you have this giant tome, I was going to reach for a book, but they're all scattered over here. If you have a big book of material you have to learn, or a big item, or 30 pages, or an hour-long video, or a training, or something like that, chunk it down, break it into chunks. And as you go through, you're going to give a name to each chunk, right? So you want to make sure that if you've got the more material you have, the more important it is to create it into chunks, the information that you're going to store, the information you're going to learn and memorize. Because chunking allows your brain to go, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. It's not just some big giant fruit salad that's all mixed together. And you know, oh, there's a grape and there's a piece of orange. It's like, no, apple, orange, grape, banana. You've got them chunked together so your brain can remember them faster and easier. Okay. Next, once you have the chunks that you've decided to learn, you want to break those down as you go through it, and every chapter make a 2 or 3 sentence summary. If you can make a 2 or 3 sentence summary of each chapter, you're going to be way ahead of the crowd because that's going to trigger the rest of the information. So make a summary and then a 2 or 3 sentence summary of the whole chapter, provided it's not just one page. So I went to law school, and I wish I'd had all these techniques in law school, but we did have a couple of them, and I'm going to sneak a little bonus tip in here as well. So one of the things I did in law school was that I went out and after the first 2 weeks of school, I could tell some of the smartest people in the class. And I grabbed them and I said, let's form a study group together. And what we did basically is we each chunked. I did criminal law, someone else did civil procedure, someone else did contracts, someone else did torts. And we would each chunk and summarize and go through those. And then we would share those with each other. Now, we all still read all the information because we had to. It was so intense. But the ability to sit and share with people and have these different chunks available, have my chunk of criminal law, have his chunk of torts, have her chunk of this and that and so forth, allowed us to see from another person's perspective. So if you've got a big course or a big thing you're doing, you can chunk it down like that. Now, I also had to make summaries. This was something we do. If you had a law case you had to memorize, you'd make a summary of that case. Why is this case important? The intention, right? What's the purpose? And then you'd break it down into chunks and short summaries of the whole case. So then what you want to do is the next part of this process, of this technique, is to read your summaries out loud. Read your summaries out loud, stop and think about what you just said, and let your brain process it. By reading it aloud, first you've read it, then you wrote things down or typed them down. That's a second modality. And the third is to read it out loud, so you're doing another modality. So those different modalities impact different parts of the brain, and they begin to connect and weave together in your brain a holistic view of learning this particular information. This is just a piece of magic. So the last thing I would say about that is that if you use this process over time, you're going to refine it for you. Everybody's style is different, right? In neuro-linguistic programming, which is how mind and body works together briefly, the fact of the matter is some people are auditory. They'll say, I hear what you're saying. Some people are visual. It's like, I see what you're saying. Some people are tactile. It's like, oh, that feels really good to me, right? So those are the 3 primary modalities, and you'll find you'll start using your modality. What you can do is you can also describe the summaries in different modalities, and even if you have a primary of hearing or primary of vision or a physicality, your other modalities will kick in and help you remember. That's just another bonus tip. So to wrap up the second technique, it is your intention. Why? Chunk it down into blocks, right? Short summaries of each chunk. Read it out loud. And of course, always have that ability to go back through it in the different modalities. Technique number 3. This is really awesome. You're going to love this. Technique number 3 is teach it to someone else. If you can't teach it, you don't know it. That's an old saying. The other thing is when you teach it, it requires you to assemble all the information in your head and then deliver it to someone so that they understand it. Go back and forth with them and make sure they're clear on it. Now, you can't just you could, I guess, go randomly pull someone over at a coffee shop and say, hey, I just learned this really cool thing. Can I teach it to you? Probably not the best way to make new friends. However, it might work. Nevertheless, I would say find a couple of people that you know, friends, family, colleagues, etc., and say, like, hey, Morris, I just read this great article, or I'm just doing this piece of homework, or I'm studying for a test. Would you be okay of taking 5 minutes with me? I need to practice teaching it so that my brain can learn it better. And I'd really love your feedback. And you can ask me all kinds of questions. What that does is now it takes you and switches the role. You're no longer the person trying to, learn the material. You're teaching it. So it's using a different part of your brain, and it's forcing you to reassemble the information in real time and go back and forth with the question and answers with whoever you're talking to. If you do this 3 times across a week, what's going to happen is your brain is really going to begin to get it. And again, remember, your intention is important here. Why do you need to know it? What do you need to know? What's that going to do for you? Always have that intention in mind, because when you're teaching it, your intention here is to make sure that the person you're teaching it to understands what it is, how it works, why it works, and what happens if that piece of information goes forward, right? So that's the thing you want to do. And our 4th technique, this one is kind of my favorite, right? Lock it in with spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is the mother of learning. Spaced repetition over time helps it grow in depth, in quality, in memory, and your ability to retrieve it, how fast to retrieve it, what you understand about it. So this just when you want to look at it and go through it and read it and go through your summaries with spaced repetition. So typically, like if you have a test, if it's Monday and you have a test on Friday, do it today, do it Tuesday, do it Thursday. So give yourself some spaced repetitions, and then you'll be ready for Friday. Right now, last bonus. This is kind of a fun one here. If you have to do a test tomorrow or a presentation and you really need the information, the most important thing to do is get good sleep. Getting a good night's sleep the night before is the number one thing. Just push the materials away, set them aside in your brain. If you've done this process for the material, you're going to have it available to you at all times when you need it. The last little tidbit, there are so many, and I love to share them with you because I really want you to enjoy and win and learn and grow. So the last little thing is that there's something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. That means there's a thing that your brain makes that's good for your learning and memory. How do you grow it? You grow it by exercising. Typically, the earlier in the morning, like 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, if you can exercise, even for 20 minutes of intense exercise, check with your doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice, but if you can work out for 20 minutes, whether it's weight or cardio, every morning, that increases, your brain generates more of that brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And what that does is it increases the ability for all these techniques I've given you to get locked in, to stay powerful and strong, and to actually increase your memory. So most of us are really busy. And you may go, that seems like a lot of stuff to learn, to do, right? Well, go through the video, use the process on this video, right? Leave a comment below. Let me know if that process works for you and how well it works, because it will. And the fact of the matter is, some people just say, I don't have the time to learn a new thing about learning. Well, you've already done it. You've already learned it. And if you watch the video or listen to it a couple more times, you'll have the spaced repetition. And the key is this: chunk. Remember the chunking and the second technique, the chunking? Chunk your time, chunk your schedule. This is my time to learn this material. This is my time to do this. It's going to go faster and more natural the more you do it. Because with spaced repetition of doing this, this process will become automatic for you. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to use it. This is a lifetime learner skill. So take advantage of it. Have fun. I've made an ebook for you down below that's also a great addition and connection with this. It's called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Download the ebook. Give it a look. In fact, you can go through the ebook and learn it very quickly. You're going to love it. Leave a comment below. Give us a like. Please subscribe. It really helps us get out there and have YouTube. Share it with everybody. But give us a like, give us a subscribe, and share this with 3 people who you know that are needing to learn things, like to learn things, or just curious people. We'll see you again soon.